at 7 p.m. Ms. Berner, if you would call roll, please.
Sure. Mayor Lowry,
Here.
Councilman Grimm,
I'm here.
Councilman Rodwald,
Here.
Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Here.
Councilman Cobb,
Here.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Here.
Vice Mayor Cook.
Here.
7 members present.
All right, thank you very much. Let's see, tonight's invocation will be by Councilman Cobb.
Dear Heavenly Father, help us make the right decisions for our citizens. Also, watch over our first responders, our fire and EMS, plus our deputies. And also, put your arms around the family of Rex Calmus, who passed away on the 14th. He used to be our fire chief here. And watch over our military and their people. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Cobb. And moving on to the pledge. Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Pledge allegiance to the United States
of America.
and to the republic
for which it
stands,
Stands
one
one
nation,
nation, under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty.
with
liberty,
liberty, and justice for all.
justice for all.
All right, and moving on, we'll start off action on the minutes for the special meeting on January 14th, 2021.
So move.
Second.
I had a motion by Mr. Cook and a second by Mr. Rodwell.
Okay.
And council, any discussion on those minutes? All right, when you're ready, Ms. Berner.
Okay. Councilman Nowakowski,
Here. Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Sustain, I was absent.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Rodwald.
Yes.
Those minutes are accepted 6-0-1.
And then moving on to the minutes for the regular scheduled work session on February 1st, 2021.
So moved.
I got a
Second.
first. I heard Miss Eggleston as the first, then you seconded yourself.
Oh, okay.
So can we get another second?
Second.
There we go. Second by Miss Nowakowski. And any discussion on that one, council? All right, when you're ready, Ms. Berner.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilwoman Nowakowski.
Yes.
Accepted 7-0.
All right, and then finally, the regular scheduled council meeting, February 1st, 2021.
So moved.
So, second.
Mr. Cobb was the motion, and we'll say second from Ms. Eggleston. And any discussion on that one, council? All right, and when you're ready, Ms. Berner.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston.
Yes.
Minutes accepted 7-0.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Berner. All right, moving on to communications, none tonight. We drop down to Mr. Bridge and his wonderful city manager's report. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, members of public. Let me get my share screen going here. I think I got it to where it should just open up to where exactly where we need to be. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let me make sure that we're all not in the way here. Just move us over there. All right. So here's the city manager report for February 16th. And what we'll do is we'll start off with our finance director, Ms. Colleen Harris. Let me all scroll all down to her main page here. And here we go. Ms. Harris, the floor is yours. And thank you so very much for coming tonight.
And thank you for the invite. Thank you, Mr. Bridge and Mayor and council members and anyone else that's watching. We're starting out the first of the year and it's going to go great. I anticipate a wonderful year. So let's go over the January summary. On that top left part, our estimated revenue is estimated this year at $5,981,374. And then over on the right side, thank you, Mr. Bridge. Our estimated budget is at $7,234,070. So we'll go down to the left on our revenue that we collected for January. We've collected $559,521.31. And our expenditures for the month of January are $480,300.85. Your statement of cash is, again, you're showing your beginning balance at the beginning of the year and your ending balance. So the beginning balance is $4,760,036.30. And our balance today at the end of January is $4,288,684.99. The next section is your bank reconciliations, and everything is all in check. The rest of the reports are for your approval, the revenue reports, expenditure reports, and the checks by check. So I'll entertain any questions.
Council, any questions for Ms. Harris this evening?
None.
None.
None?
Oh, looks good.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Harris, for joining us tonight. If council does have any more questions directed towards our finance director, Ms. Harris, feel free to excuse yourself at your leisure. And thank you so much for a great report.
Thank you.
Awesome. And let me get my share screen back going here again. All right, and we'll move on with a city manager report with our service director, Mr. Howard Kicko. Howie, just give me a second to get to that. The finance report's usually large, just because we have a lot going on. So. Yep, we'll get there.
Good Lord.
I promise. There we go. All right, Mr. Kicko, it's your floor, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Bridge. Good evening, Mayor, members of council, members of the public. There's a few items on here that have been repetitive. I can still answer any questions on those, but I'm going to hit a few bullet points that have changed. So far, our 2020-2021 winter salt usage is currently 80 to 90 tons. Obviously, we have used some since I had done this report, so probably on the next report, I'll go ahead and get another update on where we're at with that. I just know we ordered 100 tons, got it in last week, and we're probably through, I don't know, over a third, close to half of that. So we still have 200 tons that are owed to us if we need to get that deep into our stockpile. Next bullet point is we are currently working on all the touchless equipment that were purchased through the COVID CARES funds, and those are at various locations throughout the city. Basically, we got everything in stock except for the bowls. I guess at the manufacturing level, they're having trouble keeping up with the bowls. So all the supply stores and municipalities that went this route are all seeing the same thing we are. If you jump down to 2021 road reconstruction resurfacing projects, we did, the county on our behalf had submitted for a CDBG funds to reconstruct Fenwick Phase 1. We're seeking a grant in the amount of $372,000 with the city's matching share of $59,000. And that $59,000 is $19,000, which will be for engineering of the project, and then the rest for our actual local share for construction. If for some reason the construction amount comes in a little bit less than it's been in the past, just not sure, but it may be reduced, if the bids come in really well and it's lowered. Next bullet point under there is I am currently working with the Clark County engineer. We've been on the phone with each other to get out and look at a few streets that we're kind of looking to do this year with the resurfacing. With that being said, I know the funding is a little bit lower than we anticipate to save. We typically save some from a previous year, add it to the next year. We've been averaging $200,000 per year. Well, about 189 to 200 is what we usually have ready on hand, and the bids have been coming in favorable. Well, this year, excuse me, with this year, with the Fenwick possible match, and depend on how gas taxes go, we're probably going to be somewhere around the 80 to 100, maybe 125,000 for road repairs this year. So it won't be as drastic as we've had in the past, but as soon as we get some of the snow off the ground, we're going to get out and take a look at a few of the streets we have in mind and see what we can get done. And that is all I have on the report for the additional bullet points that have changed since the last report, but I can entertain any questions on these or anything else with the city or a recent snowstorm.
All right, council, any questions for Mr. Kitco? Okay, Ms. Nowakowski.
I know that we were asking Howie to look at where we might site that log cabin that Jeff Eggleston is offering to donate to the city. And he asked me to pass on that Zach is looking to expand his business onto that lot in the summer. So they need to move that house in the spring. And I just wondered if we knew anything to pass on to Jeff or what's going on.
I don't know if Mr. Bridge had anything on that, or I know that we'd spoke about it a little bit, Mr. Bridge. I didn't know if you've had anything since or just wanted to touch, or Mr. Kitco, either or Mr. Hutchinson. That's kind of like all three of your guys' area a little bit.
We briefly talked on this, as far as location in the Smith Park. I mean, we clearly have our recommendations of where that should go. We had talked about not putting it too far back on the bike path, just so it's visible, so we don't want to get vandalized. And then there is a section over off of Washington where we have some old equipment. It's all metal slides and metal swing sets, stuff like that. We had removed, I think, some trees in that area. So ideally, somewhere in that area, I think would probably work out best, especially if we want to get electricity or anything ran to that. We don't want to go too far back. Because remember, we had the issue with the shelter house trying to get internet ran to it because we had to do all the construction work. So I think administration, we're open to where it goes as long as, council's good with the location. And then you just let us know, as far as, I think we probably really should sit down and have maybe in the next work session, set a budget for this particular project and find out how much council's willing to put forth on it. And then, kind of have a meeting with Mr. Eggleston too, when it comes to that. Cause I think the biggest thing is not going to be where we put it in the shelter house, but what is the condition of that like log cabin currently? What's the condition going to be after it moves? How is it going to be moved? Is it going to be disassembled or moved in one spot? So I think we have a lot of questions that we're going to need guidance from council on that. Howie and Derek, we briefly talked about it. You want to interject and add anything that you feel is useful, please feel free.
The only thing that I know that we had discussed is definitely foundation, wherever it goes. I had heard in a meeting, they were talking about maybe pulling siding off to look at it. And I'm sure he probably won't do that unless there is a commitment to do that. Because once you have that off, you're going to have to keep that underneath of that house out of the weather, or keep it in shape because its exterior clad work or whatever is on it has been protecting that for so long. Obviously permitting, things like that. The moving will take some because of how it's structured. Like I've seen some homes, YouTube, I think a home was moved here in New Carlisle up by the golf course. But I think it was a stick structure. It wasn't a structure like this that may or may not be pinned together, framed together. So there's a lot that could go into this. I don't know, local builders, if Zach has talked with any local contractors on this type of project, on the details of how is it structurally put together and how could it potentially be moved. But that's all I got.
Go ahead. Mr. Hutchinson, then we'll get to Randy.
I've been involved with a cabin move, and I've been involved in multiple cabin or a log house deconstruction. Likely that it will have to be taken piece by piece apart to be reassembled somewhere else. And that's just if all the logs are 100% reusable, because not all cases are every log reusable. We did a dismantle and a moval of a historic log house in Marysville. Very costly. It was very costly to do and to set back up. the home that we moved had a lot of historic related to it. It was, had significance to the town of who lived there before. But still, it was an expensive job.
When you say costly, if you don't mind me asking, what do you mean by, can you give me a ballpark?
It was well over 100,000
know.
just to move it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Bridge.
So that leads me to my next question. I mean, what's the interest of council from a financial standpoint with this? Is this something that council was anticipating that they're going to pay for the relocation and we're just going to hold on to it and house it and take care of it from there on out? Is council, is Mr. Eggleston expecting the city to take off his hands and pay for all the moving? So I think council needs to sit down and figure out and have Mr. Eggleston come in and find out, get the finances in check first and then set a limit to what council is comfortable to work with.
All right. We'll hit Ms. Nowakowski, then Mr. Rodwell.
I know that Jeff has talked to various organizations around town who are interested in funding this,
Okay.
in saving it. So
Sure.
I don't know the depth of that, but I know he has been talking to people about it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Nowakowski. Mr. Rodwell.
Ms. Nowakowski kind of answered my question. I just want to go on record. I'm not on board spending six figures to move a log cabin. That's a lot of money for something the city's not going to use. I think that money can be spent elsewhere. I think if we spend 100,000 on a cabin and we let some of these roads go, we'll have some extremely upset citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Rodwell. Ms. Harris, if I can ask you a quick question, since you just went over your report. I mean, is there, in your professional opinion, is there some wiggle room in there if council was to decide to put a little money into it, whether it's, 25 or, I don't know. I mean, you have a better scope of the financial point of view. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, and again, I think once you get a good quote on what the cost is and what brings the value, does the city want that as an ongoing asset to maintain and to house? I know we're struggling to save for a government center, and there's lots and lots of wants with the council chamber, and so it's really your pleasure. And on the budget, I think once we get more pricing down, I would be able to respond a little better.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Vice Mayor, did you have something?
Yeah, I will make a motion that we invite Jeff Eggleston to the work session. We kind of get his input on this thing, see where we're going with this a little bit better than what we're sitting here talking about.
Second.
Second from Ms. Nowakowski. Mrs. Eggleston.
Linda, we would need to invite Jeff and Zach, or just Jeff?
I think it's just Jeff.
Okay.
Either and or
All right.
to me, it's not going to make any difference as long as we get some answers.
Okay. All right. Any other? Go ahead, Mr. Bridge.
At what day at what work session are you thinking?
I'm thinking the next one.
Sooner the better.
Well, remember we potentially have the mayor's court guests coming in that day as well.
Right.
So
Could we do it in that same meeting, just under the normal council? Well, either or.
just knock them out. Let's get it done. I just wanted to remind everyone that we have potential other guests coming that
I
day.
have to excuse myself for a moment.
Okay. Well, Mr. Cook, you just want to leave it there and possibly have 2 to 3 guests?
Yeah, I would leave it there. I don't really think that their input as far as Zach and Jeff are going to be that much. Once they make their presentation, give us some kind of numbers as to who's going to bear the brunt of this, I think then we can go from there. And if you want to follow up with them at a further work session, then so be it.
Okay. Does council have anything else before I call for the vote?
Mr. Cobb.
Oh, Mr. Cobb.
We need to get some idea what it's going to cost to tear down or move before anything's decided.
Yes.
Right. And hopefully with Mr. Eggleston's hopefully he's done a little bit of homework and point us in the right direction on that, hopefully a little bit. So I agree. So, all right. Anything else? All right. When you're ready, Ms. Berner.
Okay, so the motion was to invite Jeff Eggleston to the March 1st work session,
Correct.
correct? All right. Councilman Cobb,
I'm gonna sustain on that right now.
You have to give a reason.
My reason is I want to know figures before I vote on anything.
Well,
That's what this is for, is to get the figures.
Right.
Jeff ain't gonna have the figures what it's gonna cost to move. We need to find somebody.
Jeff will have the
Excuse
names
me.
of the people willing to donate to do this.
I ain't worried about the money to donate. We need to find out what it's gonna cost. No,
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cobb. Back to you, Ms. Berner.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
It does not hurt to get information. I say yes.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noakowski.
Yes.
All right, that motion's accepted 601.
All right. Thank you very much again. And Mr. Bridge.
All right, while we're on the inviting, we had discussed in the work session to have Christie and the magistrate come. So we're going to need a motion to allow them to, if you guys want to just go ahead and do that now, just in case we forget towards the end.
So moved.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Grimm and second by Ms. Eggleston. You guys are quick on the draw tonight.
We're awake for once.
And that is to invite the clerk and the magistrate from Enon.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other discussion before we call for a vote? All right, when you're ready, Ms. Berner.
Okay, and that's at the work session, so, right?
Yes.
So I know, okay.
Yes.
Yep. Thank you. Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
yes,
Councilwoman Eggleston.
Yes.
That motion's accepted 7-0.
Thank you very much. And thank you for that, Mr. Bridge. And back to you, sir.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I think we're still in the city manager report, and we're going to head over to our planning director, Mr. Hutchinson. So let me share my screen again, sir.
I think that's
All right,
my
can we all
favorite
see that?
meetings, Randy.
It's very nerve-wracking on this end because sometimes it just doesn't work out very well, and I'm everywhere with it. It's actually doing what it's supposed to be doing, so I'm good with it. All right, Mr. Hutchinson, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You can go ahead and give the council and the citizens your planning department report. That'd be great.
Yeah. So good evening, everyone. Hopefully I can get through this without some technical difficulties. Out here in the country, the snow really plays havoc on my hot spot here. So I've been cutting in and out all night. So for the month of January in zoning, we had we received 7 zoning applications. Out of those 7, 4 have been approved. The other 3 are still in review, waiting additional information. In those 4 approved zoning permits, one of those was for a new single-family house over in the Twin Creeks area. So that trend's still going. Those lots seem to be going pretty quick out there. So I look forward to probably within the next year or 2, those to really fill up and be just about built out. Code enforcement for the month of January. So this set it up a little bit different for you, just kind of give you a breakdown. New cases. So they opened 18 new cases in the month of January. On top of those 8 new cases violation cases that they opened up, other activity there that you see at the bottom. So that's communications that they may have. That may be them stopping, knocking on the door, talking to residents. It may be a phone call or some type of correspondence with a letter or email. Re-inspections are either a second or a third inspection, like as a follow-up on an initial case opening. And then the closed cases. So they closed 7 cases in the month of January. And then the breakdown there for the violation kind of shows you kind of what the exterior sanitation is usually the big ticket in this time of year. So you see they had 8 of those, which gives us our highest violation count for that. The guys are doing really well. Like I said, they're both experienced probably before they were here, and they're doing a great job. Excited for the new vehicle. Thank council for that. Actually got a call this morning from them. Their code card did not start today, so they were not able to go out in the field today. Probably wouldn't have done much good with the snow on the streets, but they gives them something to look forward to. But also, I just wanted to touch base with everyone. I did meet with Planning Board and BZA this week. Had a great meeting. Got some great feedback. I feel everyone's excited. We are going to start meeting monthly, regardless if we have agenda items or not, on the second Tuesday and second Thursday of every month. So, of course, anybody's welcome to join those. Anytime we have any code changes, those will go through Planning Commission first, or Planning Board first. And then, of course, any new developments related conditional uses will go through the Planning Board. And then any type of appeals or variance request will go through the BZA. Still need 2 members for BZA and 1 member for Planning Board. So if you are aware of anybody, I know the members are going to put some feelers out too. But we have a great board, and everyone's excited to be there. So I'm excited for this year. And that's all I have right now. If anybody has any questions.
Okay.
Did I cut out?
Oh, there.
Oh, okay.
No, I think other people cut out. It was a real, I think other people cut out, bud. Okay, we got a bunch of people muted.
I have
Yeah, I
one.
got
Andy.
lots of mute buttons.
Oh. Okay, Mr. Grimm, can you hear me? Yeah, Mr. Grimm's moving. Mrs.
Yes.
Eggleston. Okay, I think we're all catching up now. Okay, there we go. All right, so Mr. Hutchinson did finish his report. I don't know if we have a glitch there or something, but any questions for Mr. Hutchinson, council?
Mr. Rowall had one.
Yeah.
Mike's muted.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cobb. Thank you, Ms. Eggleston. Go ahead, Mr. Roadwall.
Mr. Hutchison, this exterior sanitation, is that the trash can issue?
No, so exterior sanitation is going to be trash, debris, things on the exterior of the property that creates a sanitation sanitation condition. So the storage, I think it's outdoor storage. Now, I got to look because we may be logging these in different, so I might have to look again and find this because they've been using, we call them the little door hangers.
Mhm.
They've been using those a lot here lately, and those they've been getting the best response because they're immediate.
Okay.
It's immediate notification.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
You got
Roadwall. Anyone else? All right, I just had one, and I'll ask Mr. Bridge or Mr. Hutchison if you want to chime in. I was just curious if council sees, we've talked about this before in past meetings, if council sees something that they think isn't being addressed, and I'm just going to throw out a, example, a bunch of trash in a yard or, gutters falling off, whatever it may be. How would, Mr. Bridge, would you prefer if council addressed you with that? I mean, is it okay for council to send that, hey, I noticed this. I mean, what would be the best, what would you prefer and how would you prefer us to get that info relayed to you guys?
I would be okay with council addressing Derek directly, just copy me in on email. So I know there's a communication between council and him, but there's no sense of getting me involved. I'm just going to go and tell Derek, hey, or forward him the email that you guys got. So we're just going to make it easy for everyone. If you guys see that kind of stuff, you guys know Derek's, just make sure you copy me in on it. We have other ways that you can report the problem. I'm going to be hopefully looking to a program. It's called TextGov, and I know we briefly talked about it about a month ago. But I'm working with iWorks, and let's say Mayor Lowry, you're out, or it could be a citizen that we have that's out. And if you're out on and you see like a pothole or any kind of a property that needs some exterior property maintenance, you'll literally be able to go to your phone and text a predetermined number, and it's going to go right to us. So one of the things that I'm sorry to take away from that, but now that we're on it, one of the things I'm still waiting on the answer of, if that's two-way communication. Like they can text us, but are we able to keep that database and say, hey, water main break, hit send, and it goes out to everyone who kind of signed up for that feature. So that's the last question mark I have with that before I bring it to council. But we are looking for ways. But until then, you would have to just pick up the phone and call, or just, like I said, shoot an email.
Okay, good, Mr. Hutchinson.
Yeah, so email is great. At least that gives me a trail, a time reference, time frame. I would suggest just maybe on the subject, maybe an address of where, or an area, just to help me keep those in line. But yeah, definitely, if you see something, even if you're not 100% sure if it's a violation, send it to me. I mean, worst we could do is go out and take a look at it, and it's not a violation, but at least, we could inform you as well. So definitely, anything that you see or any concerns, send them my way.
All right, Ms. Nowakowski.
Semi-related to that, can citizens call you directly with issues like in apartment buildings?
As far as exterior property maintenance, yes. Now, if they're having landlord issues or some type of internal problems, they would need to go through fair housing in Clark County.
Okay. But maybe
still,
electrical issues?
Yeah, so that won't be through us.
Okay.
But if residents want to contact me, I could definitely be their point of contact and at least send them to the right direction. So if it needs to go to fair housing, or if it needs to go to the building department in Clark County, I'll be able to tell them at least where they need to go and give them that information.
Okay. Thank you very much. I need to leave again.
Thank you, Mr. Nowakowski. Thank you, Mr. Hutchinson, and back to you, Mr. Bridge.
Yeah. So just be cognizant when council does email the department heads that it's more informational, that we're not directing them to do something, just to be in line with our codes, but just early informational. And I think that will help speed up some things.
So if I emailed Mr. Hutchinson and told him about a fence, and then I said, I hope you, or if I said, have a nice day, is that a direction?
I mean, if we want to split hairs.
I'm just teasing. All right.
You're telling him to do something. So.
Have a horrible day, Derek. So, all right. Anyone else for Mr. Hutchinson? All right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Bridge, for chiming in on that one.
Well, no problem. All right.
And
let me get my share screen back up here so we can continue on with the city manager report. I'm going to see who's next. I think it's our fire chief. There he is. All right. Fire chief, Chief Trustee, thank you for joining us tonight. It's your floor to give your report. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bridge, Mayor, Council, citizens. For the month of January, the New Carlisle Fire Division responded to 95 EMS calls in the city. Your report looks like it says 124. It's actually only 24 EMS calls in Elizabeth Township. The division responded to 6 fire-related calls in the city and 2 in Elizabeth Township. We had 3 EMS calls answered by mutual aid, either by Pike Township or Bethel Clark, due to Medic 52 being on a response. We answered 2 mutual aid calls for Pike Township, and we answered 1 mutual aid call for Bethel Clark. Other than that, we're just kicking off the year, getting things started this as far as looking at the station. Don't try to do a little bit more facelift for the station, and also looking forward to the new vehicle purchase and equipment purchase for the year.
Right.
Any questions from council?
Council, any questions? Okay. I just, Chief, could you do me a big favor? I like to ask this every chance I get in the winter months. If you don't mind, do you mind just talking? I mean, well, 2 or 1, do we have smoke alarms available at the fire station? And 2, would you just touch on a little bit of, tips or safety on carbon monoxide detectors?
We do have smoke detectors at the station, but we are not allowed to install them right now due to COVID.
Oh, okay.
We can only go into building or homes right now as for emergency calls only. As far as CO detectors, yes, if you have any gas appliances or fireplace, anything like that in your home, you should have a CO detector also along with a smoke alarm. There's several different types out there. There's plug-in ones that you can plug into an outlet that still has a battery backup, or you can have just a regular battery operated ones. They do have some smoke CO detector combination ones that you can purchase. Like I said, it all depends on what the person wants to buy, how they want to set their system up. But they're definitely, the CO detectors are just as much of a need as what the smoke alarms are. This time of the year, we tend to run quite a few more CO detectors than what we know than during the summer months due to furnaces and that type of thing.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Chief. Appreciate your report. All right, and back to you, Mr. Bridge.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Fire Chief, for your fantastic report. Let me get my share screen back up here, and we'll continue on with the police report. Sergeant Lehman did have a prior engagement tonight, so he will not be in attendance. So I'll give his report on his behalf, but moving forward past this meeting, he should be able to be in attendance. So this is from our contracted sheriff's office. They patrolled 5,192 miles. They had took 143 calls, 42 reports completed, 50 assists, 6 felony arrests, 10 misdemeanor arrests, warrants 4, 92 traffic stops. We have 47 traffic warnings, and then 27 traffic citations. And then he also we got more. Sorry about that. 0 non-moving citations, 378 business checks, and 77 citizen contacts. What Mr. Lehman had started doing is actually breaking down the progress of each one of our contract deputies. So every month we're going to have this breakdown so council can see, and myself, the activity that we're getting out of the contracted deputies. I do believe that is all he has for his police report, so I'll be happy to entertain any questions.
Council, any questions? Ms. Nowakowski, you're muted. Don't forget.
Thank you. Do the police officers have regular time slots that they're on all the time?
We have a schedule, yes.
Is there a way that we can see what that schedule is so that we can see when these things are happening?
We don't share the schedule with the public just for obvious reasons.
Well,
I think you mean for yourself, correct, Ms. Nowakowski?
right. I mean, I'd like to see is much of this at night? Is it during the day? Is it in the late afternoon? You know, I just am curious in terms of when the activity is.
We have 2 first shift deputies, 1 second and 1 third, and then we have a swing. So we have coverage 24/7, Monday through I think there's maybe a slot we don't, just for a shift. If council would like that sent to you guys, you would have to do a motion and direct me to do that. But at the same time, it is very imperative that schedule does not get out to the public.
Right, I understand that.
Yeah. I know what she's trying to ask. I don't know if maybe in future reports, is it possible to put like, you know, because obviously on that list, we don't know who's third, who's second, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just put like, you know, AM and PM or times in there. I don't know. It's just thinking out loud. I don't know. I mean, I would assume that more activity at night for some things, but probably more in the daytime for others. I don't know.
Yeah. A lot of your activity occurs in the first and second shifts. We have 1 officer at night. But I'll go through the schedule and I can email council who's on what shifts.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Anyone else for this report? All right. And Mr. Bridge, back to you, sir.
Awesome. I think that, let me scroll on down here. Boom. I think that's it for the department head reports. All right. Can everyone see this? We're good?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I got to scroll back up to the top. So forgive me because this is where my portion is. So I'm gonna get through the forest of the revenues and expenses. There we go. All right, under informational items, Clark County Combined Health District, the county COVID-19 stats are attached. They're the latest ones we have. COVID-19 and city operations. All city staff is back to regular in-person work schedules. We started that today. Lobby and other city buildings remain closed to the public. And also have a discussion noted for that, should council want to engage in that. And then also to March 2021 shelter house reservations. Is that something council wants to go ahead and cancel too, or anything you want to change because of the vaccines? So I'll leave it up for discussion on that, should council want to ensue that.
We got the, I forget what they're called, but the backpacks with the fog for the disinfectant, right? Mr.
Sanitizer, yes.
Bridge?
Mhm.
Yes, sanitizer, thank you. With that being said, and it making it easier to sanitize an area and moving into March, me personally, I don't have a problem with opening the shelter house up, especially because it's going to be, it's not going to be our employee that's going to be in there with a group of, people celebrating a birthday. I would like to see it open back up, but that's just my 2 cents.
I don't know if the state still has the 10-person limit. That's something I didn't look at before tonight's meeting.
Right.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead. I can't see who's got their hands up. So
Right.
Go ahead, Oski.
I would be interested in still maintaining some kind of a number of people in their limit. There are just a lot of people who, given a free choice, might invite a whole slew of people and land up with a major event, and I don't want to see us facilitating that.
Right.
And how about where we go enforcing that? I mean, we have no jurisdiction over it, so to speak. I would say why I wanted to open as soon as possible. I think April would probably be the better of the two. I know we have the sanitation equipment, but who's going to be the one sanitizing it? Is that going to be a fee that we have to add on to the rental for an employee to go in there and sanitize it, especially if we have a multiple use day?
Good question. Mr. Bridge, ours, like, I'm assuming one of the city guys goes in and cleans up after a weekend of use or something already. Prior to COVID, right? Like if they clean up birthday balloons that are laying around or something, maybe.
Yeah, this would require a whole different level of cleaning though. Even though we have the foggers and stuff like that, we would still have to do, additional probably cleaning. But the other point of that is who's going to enforce the limit of the capacity limit? Because some of these are in the evening.
Right.
Daytime ones, we could probably go over and just kind of peek our head in, but then you're putting us in the risk of going in and checking on that. But yeah, we would have to do all that stuff. Our workers would.
Okay. Mr. Grimm, did you have something? I thought I heard you say something earlier.
I think our people are smart enough to know what they should and shouldn't be doing. If somebody wants to rent a shelter house with 30 people, that's their business. If they want to take the risk of catching something, that's up to them. I don't see why we should be policing everything.
If the state of Ohio still has a ban on the gatherings, we would have to follow the governor's, I would assume, since we're a municipality.
And you read that today, Mr. Bridge?
No, I have not. I did not.
Oh, okay. I'll look that up.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Mr. Vice Mayor.
I believe we're still under the 10-person limit, are we not? Well, until that one is moved, then I will have to go along with Mr. Woodwald and say that let's revisit this 1st of April. If at that point we do agree to open it up, do we have a ballpark number of what the additional sanitation per event is costing us?
Well, we already bought the device. We have 5-gallon buckets of solution that we get. I don't know how we would go and give a fair amount that says this bucket's going to last
Right.
X. You know, I think we do something minimal, if that at all, because yeah, we have the increased cleaning, but I don't know if we can charge 20, 30 bucks for an extra sanitizing thing. But I don't know how. It would have to be something minimal, because like I said, the buckets are, I want to say, I'm going off memory here, $110 for a 5-gallon bucket around. I think we went through one already. We'll probably do another round of ordering here soon on those. And I'll check back with the wastewater department, all that. So in the shelter house, like I said, that's a lot of surface area. You know, the good thing about where we clean now is we know where we're at. We know all the high traffic spots. We know where we sit. We know the doorknobs we touch. And with the shelter house, what it says is going to take more, because we're literally going to have to clean every inch of that, because we don't know where these people congregate. We don't know where they were, you know? So, not say it can't be done. I don't want to be talking like we can't do it. It just take a little bit of extra time to do it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bridge. Mr. Rodwell, then Mr. Nowakowski.
My other concern is liability. I mean, if you know, what says if we open it up and then we sanitize it, and the next party that comes in, you know, somebody gets infected with COVID and now tries to blame the city for not sanitizing the rental building properly. You know, I just think while the revenue is important, I think the safety, at least for another month, outweighs getting it open, at least until we get closer to spring, proper ventilation, things of that nature, more vaccines. I just think there's just too much risk in having it available for March.
Thank you, Mr. Rodwell. Ms. Nowakowski.
I just pulled up the amended Ohio Department of Health order. And I suggest that when we rent this out, they get a copy of this so that they know the violations, because most people are not going to read.
So on. I kind of like what Dale says. I mean, you know, I think we could give them, you know, they're adults that have to rent this or going to rent it. They can use their best judgment. I mean, if they don't feel comfortable or safe using it, then they wouldn't be renting it. So, but that's all I had. Anybody else? All right. Well, I don't think we had a decision either way on that one. So we'll just keep moving unless somebody else had any motions. All right. Back to you, Mr. Bridge. Thank you, sir.
All right. Let me get this thing back going here. All right, again, I'm going to ask for verification. Can we all see this?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Awesome. So 101 South Main Street, move into the police department. When I wrote this, it was underway. They were actually going to start it today, but then I talked to Nalina on our admin meeting this morning. It did hold off on those. The only thing we're waiting on is for the dedicated internet line. Mr. Kiko has been in contact with the company. Hopefully we do have that here soon. But the police department is going to be slowly moving stuff in. And then they'll be fully operational once we get that dedicated internet line in. They are all very excited about the move. We're excited about the move. And then once we get them in there, we're going to start working on the current substation to get the records out that we need to do, and then do records retention after that, records destruction. And then after that, hopefully we can put some things in front and forth the council this spring regarding the demolition of that building so we can expand the fire department parking lot. Credit card processing fee for utility bill payment.
Hey, Mr. Bridge.
Yes.
Sorry to cut you off. Could I ask you a question on that one, that last one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just real quick. I know we talked about it before. What is your or the city's procedure, you guys, as far as the keys? Remember we discussed before how we don't want deputies from all over the county coming into the building. And just, could you touch on that one more time?
Yeah. We had got a keyless entry as a result of the coronavirus funding. So each one of our contracted deputy actually has a key fob that they have to keep on them to get in and out. So we have instructed them that it's not shareable. So we did extend that to the school resource officer, and then also 2 people higher up in the sheriff's department that actually do come and pick up evidence. So we've
Great.
actually streamlined who actually does have access to that building.
Awesome. Great. Thank you very much. Sorry about that.
Great question. No, thank you. Any other questions on 101 South Main Street? And forgive me for not asking before I moved on. No? Okay. Credit card processing fee. At the special meeting we had, Kathy had brought up the increasing the fee for the credit card payments. So we do have a response to that. I don't want to scroll down to it because it'll take me forever to get there. But hopefully council had looked over that. Any discussion on that matter? No?
Any discuss? Okay. I can't see him. So can you see him all, Randy?
No, I got to get out of
Okay.
here. They can always just speak.
There we go. Anyone have any comments on that?
I mean,
I just
I'd
have-
like, go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead, Dan. I'll go after you.
I would just like to get maybe, you know, a breakdown of how many of our citizens are now passing up that $100 monthly charge for the water fee. Because, you know, reading the email, it would change the processing fee by about 55 cents, which I know is a lot, but my wife and I, we have to do 2 transactions. So we pay the $195 twice to pay our water bill. And I feel a lot of the families in New Carlisle are, especially with the increased sewer rates, are going to be surpassing that $100 threshold here soon, if not already. So I don't know if that's possible to, Mr. Bridge, maybe to have Kathy run a report of the average water and sewer bill in New Carlisle now that the new sewer rates are intact in effect, to
Sure.
see if we're kind of, trying to save a few for the masses, so to speak.
Sure, absolutely. We'll have Kathy start working on that this week, and I'll just shoot council out an informational only email with the results. Is that good?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan. Yeah, same thing. That'd be an interesting number to see. So thank you, Dan. I hate the system of charging people twice for, to do 2 transactions. I mean, I've never, any bill I've ever paid, I'm not saying that I know they cover their costs that's built into their prices or the website or whatever it may be. I don't like that you have to do it twice to get it taken care of. It's a waste of time for people. I would love to see if we could come up with something different. Is there other companies out there that we could look into, Mr. Bridge? As far as
we'll have to look at the agreement we're currently under when it expires.
Okay.
We're all going to have similar structures.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. And looks like back to you, Mr. Bridge.
All right. Let me get this thing going here again. All right. So I think we already covered this one. Mayor's Court potential. We already got the motion on that. However, we also have 2 more guests. I'm going to ask for a motion of council, and that is to allow the representative from MKSK Columbus to actually join a meeting that we have. Right now, we're going to reach out to him for the 3:15 meeting, but just keep in mind for this particular motion and then the previous 2 we did, it's clearly availability upon their availability to join. So I will be seeking a motion to allow MKSK to the 3:15 meeting.
And this is this kind of like would this, if the motion passes, Mr. Bridge, is this kind of like just to start the process of what they want to do and how we're going to work this process out as far as the feasibility test?
This is the council's opportunity to talk with a guy who is willing to do the feasibility study. It's informational on both ends for him to get his viewpoint, and then council to really, say, hey, this is where we're at. And then maybe, hopefully he can come to a conclusion then. But it's really just a Kickstarter to that pool feasibility study.
That's what I was getting at. He would still have to go the test or the review of it hasn't been done yet.
No, he needs your guys' feedback yet.
Gotcha. All right, thank you. Do we have Ms. Nowakowski? You're muted. Don't forget.
You're muted, Glenda.
Do we need to include April in as a guest on that one?
I don't think so.
And yes,
Okay.
technically, because she's not an employee at right now. It's a good catch.
Do we have a motion to invite Ms.
Motion to invite them.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so motion by Mr. Cobb and a second by Mr. Grimm. Any discussion? All right, and when you're ready, Ms. Berner.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm.
Yes.
Motion accepted 7-0.
All right, thank you very much. And back to you, Mr. Bridge.
Okay, upcoming council discussion. So I have no clue why that's doing that. Put it out there right now. Let me hit escape, see what happens. Oh, works every time. All right, update, upcoming city council discussion. Street priority listing at the 3/1/21 meeting. So me and Mr. Kikos had a small conversation about that. So we updating the street priority listing. Salvage right at Madison Street School. That's scheduled for the 3/15/2021 meeting. Again, we did briefly talk about that this morning at our admin meeting. So there's some information on that date I do want to bring forth to city council. A while back, maybe about a month ago, I think Mr. Mayor had asked me some information about alcohol sales in the city. So right now we're looking at to be at the 4/5/2021 meeting. We're going to discuss our fixed assets at the 4/19/2021 meeting. And that is, I'm going to have a discussion with having the company come in and do it for us because it's going to be very hard for us to value our utilities that are underground. And the last thing we have set is the comprehensive land use plan. We'll be bringing that to council on the 5/3 meeting, and it's just to refamiliar council members with that. And then that is something that we will need to work on because that is an outdated policy. And that really tells us, so administration, how council wants us to develop and guide the land use in your city. So those are the things we have upcoming. Anything related to the city manager report can be definitely entertained now.
All right, thank you.
Hearing here so we can all see each other.
All right, and council, any comments, questions, concerns for the city manager? It doesn't appear so. Nope, we got one. We got one. Ms. Eggleston.
Was there a decision made on whether we're opening the shelter house in March or not?
I mean, it was kind of in the air. No one made any motions when I asked, so I think it's just kind of going by the suggestion to leave it closed, but you are welcome to do so.
I move that we open it in March, but we put, when they do a rental, they get the paper listing the state mandates as far as the number of people.
Activities.
And they sign a waiver releasing the city from any liability.
Yes.
Well, I was
Go ahead, Dale. Mr. Grimm.
I was thinking about that earlier. Good. I'm glad you said that, Mr. Grimm, but I'm assuming we would have to first draft something. Jake would have to draft something, correct, Mr.
Right.
Bridge?
Yeah, it is. And it may not be done by March 1, to be honest with you. I don't know what kind of research he's have to go into that.
Right. Okay,
Well,
so
even if it's April, I think that the state mandates and the waiver needs to be in with the rental agreement.
And it needs to be, the waiver on the responsibility needs to be a function of the disease, not something that might be our liability. If something happens in there, somebody trips and breaks a leg because something was wrong with the floor, that's a whole different ballgame.
We already have stuff like that in place.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Well,
here's the
before
thing. I'm just going to exec my opinion. I would really hope council would consider waiting till April to open it. Because at the end of the day, we don't get a lot of revenue from the shelter house, and we're putting people in direct harm's way to go and sanitize it. Even though they sign a waiver that really doesn't exclude us from all the liability. But we are still putting our employees at risk to go over and sanitize that. I think if we wait until April, that's a whole other month of vaccine distribution. It's another month that we'll be probably should look at requiring ventilation while they're in there, or the opening the windows or opening the 2 doors to allow some kind of airflow. I would like to hear Mr. Kiko's opinion on this, because it is going to be your guys and possibly you going over there and cleaning the shelter house after every use.
Most of the time it's on the weekends, and if it's usually my water crew who's doing water duty, will go up there and do this. So it's, it's on overtime and double time on the weekends and twice. So we usually do it on a Saturday morning from a Friday night rental, and then a Sunday morning from a Saturday and a Saturday night rental. We just do the inspection sheets for that halfway through the day to know if the first rental was clean before the second.
Single sanitation.
But then if it's a Saturday night and they come up and do weekend duty, they're here both Saturday and Sunday though. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That way it would be a single sanitation opposed to going back. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say? And that in return reduces how much exposure they have to it as well. I mean, we get like what, $100 for a full day rental at that?
I think it's actually a little over, but you might be right.
Yeah.
We'll go with Mr. Vice Mayor, then to Mr. Cobb.
If we're going with $100 on that type of situation, our employee gets 2 hours at double time. I don't think this makes any monetary sense.
You're saying that when on what Mr. Vice Mayor said, Mr. Kitco, that we've always paid our employees overtime to clean the shelter house?
Well, because we typically don't have any of our public works employees in on a weekend. So we've kind of worked out an agreement that because water, we have a guy, our person come in on our water department Saturday morning and Sunday morning for 2 hours. They add this onto their water duty. So we kind of allow them to do the cleaning rather than call in an additional person to do the park, the shelter cleaning, since they're already going to be in.
So this, I mean, as far as it being COVID, this doesn't change anything. That's how you've always done it prior to, correct?
Well, only a Saturday morning and a Sunday morning. That's it. Like we never cleaned in a midday between rental changes.
Okay.
This is only for usually about 7A to 9A, and we include a shelter cleaning at that time. But that was the only time we would do it.
Okay. Mr. Vice Mayor, do you have anything else?
No, I'm just trying to, go along with what Randy has said. We're putting an employee at risk, and the small amount of monetary return on this thing is greatly, I think, going to be eaten up by the labor cost and material cost.
All right. Dan, we'll get you after Mr. Cobb. Mr. Cobb, you had something?
Vice Mayor Cook already asked a question.
All right. Thank you, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Rodwell.
And Mr. Kitco, if you don't mind, I mean, and when you say they do cleaning, they just go in and basically do a punch list, right? They check to make sure that the previous party did what they agreed upon to do.
Yeah,
Right.
currently it's just to keep it short, it's basic. No trash, sweep
Yep.
if necessary. Toilets aren't a mess.
Yeah.
Make sure things aren't hanging, and that's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, so you're talking probably about 15 minutes on average, maybe 20. Now we're going to be
In trash. Yep.
and now we're going to be adding at least probably an hour for proper sanitation.
Yeah, because we got all new.
If not.
My apologies.
No, you're fine, sir.
We just got I think 60 some chairs. We'll probably end up with 80 on the racks. So let's say we don't know how many they took off. We'll probably be taking all 80 chairs out of the racks or 60 chairs to clean them all. Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to be increasing that gentleman or lady's workload from 15 minutes to close to an hour, if not more. Which in turn is we're going to have to renegotiate that 2 hour 7 to 9 to more of a probably 7 to 10, 7 to 11 on the weekends.
But I thought that was the whole point of these foggers, is it was made things so much quicker, easier, and it fogged it and done. That's the
Well,
way
you do, but you still got 80 chairs off manually and set them on the ground, open them up, fog it, and then put them back. I mean, that's time consuming. I mean, they're on the rack. Like I said, you can't just keep them on a rack and flog them. We don't know if they open them, sat on them, and put them back. So,
Okay.
but that's just one area. That's, then you got, like I said, you got the doors, you got the bathrooms. Those would be easy. You can literally take that fogger like that. But there are some, even the tables. We don't know if they put all the tables out. So we're going to literally lay everything out, have to fog it, and then assemble it back together, put it back together.
Okay. All right, anyone else? So we have the motion on the floor by Ms. Eggleston. Do we have a second to vote?
Second.
Second by Mr. Grimm. All right, and I think we covered the discussion. So unless anybody else has anything else, we'll ask Ms. Berner to call for a vote.
All right, and this is to open the shelter in March.
Correct.
Okay. All right, Councilman
Do you
Rosen.
have the details that you can read that so that we know what it is afterwards?
I wrote down open in March and will receive the state mandates along with signing a waiver, releasing the city from any COVID.
Liability.
Yeah.
Can this be
Thank you.
dependent upon the recommendation of the law director, perhaps? I mean, Jake may have.
Add that.
Yeah.
Say
Okay.
it again, Randy, you
Okay,
cut
I
out.
don't know what Jake's going to say when I instruct him to look into it.
What was the first part you said, Randy? You cut out for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dependent upon Jake's opinion, our law director.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. When you're ready, Ms. Berner.
Okay. Councilman Rodwald.
No.
Councilwoman Nowakowski.
No.
Councilman Cobb.
No.
Councilwoman Eggleston.
No.
Vice Mayor Cook.
No.
Mayor Lowry.
Yes.
Councilman Grimm.
Yes.
That motion fails 2-7.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Berner. All right. And we are moving along again. Mr. Bridge, you were finished up with your report, correct, sir?
Yeah, I was taking a note so I can know I'm going to bring it back. March, the second meeting in March for council to resume the discussions. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. What date is that? Let's just do second meeting in April.
March
Oh yeah,
The 15th.
15.
3/15. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, I think I.
Think you're finished.
Yes.
Yeah,
Ah,
good. Look at that. I'm done. So I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
all right. Any questions for Mr. Bridge before we move on? All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Bridge.
Oh, I lied. I am so sorry. Mr. Kitko emailed me this today, late in the day, and it's very important, so I wanted to verbally mention it. We're going to go ahead and put this on the city's Facebook page, but we'll also go ahead and put it in the next council packet as well. And it's a news release from OIC of Clark County and his coronavirus relief fund emergency service program and his assistance for rent, mortgage, water, sewer, or other utility assistance. Mr. Kitko, do you know if Mrs. Marshall has placed this on Facebook yet?
I don't know if she got it this afternoon or not. She was doing some other stuff, but
Okay.
I did send that information over.
Okay, sounds good. So we'll get it on there, but basically it's just for any citizen in Clark County who needs assistance with those titles that I mentioned earlier, which is rent, mortgage, water, sewer, or utility. We do have new funding available in Clark County effective today, February 16th. So I will check the Facebook page after the meeting. If it's not, I'll go ahead and post it, but please pass this along to your constituents. We've had, not a lot, but a few people call and ask. So we always send them the direction of the county. So again, this is, we thought would be very important to bring up tonight, even though it wasn't on any agenda. And I do apologize.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Kitko. And if nothing else, we will move on. Let's see. Comments from members of the public. Mr. Bridge, how are we looking?
We have no new messages.
All right. Thank you very much. Committee reports, none to nine. We drop down to resolutions. Ms. Berner, it's all you.
All right, we have resolution 2021-05R, introduction, public hearing and action tonight. Resolution authorizing the gift of unneeded city property.
Council?
So moved.
Second.
Better.
Who was the second on that? Was that Councilman Grimm?
It was close. I think so.
Thank you.
Nowakowski was the first.
Yes.
All right, council, or I'm sorry, Mr. Bridge.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, I'm sorry. I went out of turn. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Explanation of this resolution is, since we no longer use the VHF radio systems, we would like to go ahead and donate that to a department in need that could actually utilize them. And that's what the resolution is for tonight.
Thank you very much. Council, any discussion on this one? All right, when you're ready, Ms. Berner, call the vote, please.
Okay. Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm.
Yes.
That motion's accepted 7-0. Moving on to our ordinances. We have two that are read only this evening. So our first ordinance 2021-03, introduction tonight, public hearing and action on March 1st, 2021. And ordinance authorizing the city manager to purchase a new command vehicle for the fire and EMS department. And we have ordinance 2021-04, introduction tonight, public hearing and action on March 1st, 2021. And ordinance authorizing the city manager to purchase a new Jaws of Life for the fire and EMS department. And would you like me to move on and read
Yes, please,
their business? Okay.
if you would.
Yep. Additional city business, open discussion for city related matters.
All right. Council, anything need to go over under other business? All right. I just had one, and I'm not going to go through and read the whole thing. I'm going to cover up the address here just for personal reasons for the person. I got the coolest letter in my city mailbox today by an 8-year-old by the name of Beckley Koval, talking about, and this is the letter they dropped off at the city building. He talks about how much he loves living in New Carlisle, how much of us, it's one of his favorite places is Smith Park, that it's super fun, and he loves the city. He talks a little bit about Abraham Lincoln. He informed me that he has his own small business called Bexley's Cookie of the Month Club, and his mother helps him since he's so young. So very cool to get a little letter like this from one of our young citizens. So thank you, Bexley, or to your parents if anyone is watching. I'll definitely have to write him back and maybe order some cookies for council to eat. help a growing business. And Bexley, when you get to be 18, when you see Derek Hutchinson, he can probably find you a storefront to open up your next, big business.
That's right.
If you get a different cookie each month, I'm in.
Right. All right. Mr. Cobb.
On the vehicle, if I can, for the fire department,
Yes, sir.
are we going to undercoat this thing?
Chief, that would be for you.
We can look at that, sir. It has not been brought up to do so, but we can definitely look at that.
The reason I asked that, the pickup wasn't undercoated.
No, sir. Not that I know of.
You see how bad it rusted out. That's why I was thinking if we look into undercoating that also.
Yes, sir. We will definitely look at that.
How much does it cost to undercoat on average?
$700.
What?
$700 from Z-Bart.
No, I don't need my calculator for that. We'll still be under budget.
It's well worth the price.
Yeah. If you could get Howie to stop dumping salt everywhere.
My truck, you don't have to worry about it. It's all aluminum.
Did someone else have a comment? I thought, was it Ms. Eggleston? Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, Randy had emailed us this annual elected officials training invitation. And I think that's something we should probably look into, us attending,
Okay.
or at least somebody attending each of them, since there's 4 different ones.
Was that on the recent packet, Peg?
No, he emailed it out this afternoon.
Oh, okay. I must not have gotten to it yet. I'll have to take a look at it. So, yeah, no, I'm all for it. I'll take a look at it, and maybe we can all butt heads at the next meeting or whatever.
Yeah,
It's coming up. I mean,
starts
Tuesday.
March 16th through the
Started
9th.
today.
Okay, I hadn't read it yet.
No,
It looks like it's like they're only like 11 to 1 each day, and it's a Zoom. So I
Okay.
think it's something that we should. I think it'd probably help all of us.
Excuse. Did you send that out to everybody, Mr. Bridge? I don't see it.
Yeah, it came out
Yes,
at 12:41.
Yeah,
It was on the
12:41.
city email.
Was it?
Oh, there.
12:31?
I see it. Thank you. Mr. Grimm, did you have something to add?
For Mr. Bridge, is that the one that I attended last February? Is that
You
the
know,
same?
what, Mr. Graham, I don't know because you know what? It very well. Sorry, let me get this down. I'm looking at. I can't see anything.
It looks the same, and if it is, I would highly recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah, because yours was off-site, so it would make sense as to why they're doing those remotely this year.
Right. I went to Mason for that.
Yes, and I think it was. Now I think about it, because it had 4 or 5 different sections on it, didn't it?
Yes,
Okay.
it was most of the day, and it was very enlightening.
Sure.
All right. Randy, if any of the council members have any questions you need help with this, can they contact you on it, or
Oh, please do. Yeah, yeah.
or Mr. Grimm, since he's been there?
Mm-hmm. Please
Okay.
just contact me. Council wants to go, we can get you set up. Of course, the city will pay for it. But I think it would be beneficial. Absolutely.
Did you say they have something that you can do? I know this is going to be through Zoom, sitting there looking at it, but something that, because 11, like for me, 11 to 1, 3 days in a row might be tricky for me to pull off. You said they have like an online class that you can do at your own. I thought you said.
Yeah, they have, that's dedicated sunshine laws training. I think
Yeah.
that was sent out was a mixture of like 4 or 5 different things. They do have dedicated ones for sunshine law that you can go in your own pace.
Okay.
And that's a big one too. Sunshine laws are huge. I don't know if they have any other dedicated go at your own pace when it deals with like the fiscal integrity. Some of the I don't have the email up in front of me now, so I don't know the classifications of the courses they're offering.
Okay.
Let me pull it up real quick. It's right here.
Because I would hate to, for me personally, I would hate to start it, especially if the city's paying for it, and then not to be able to do that, say that third day or something.
Yeah, sure. I understand. Yeah, it's just informational. Council wants to take a look at it. If you all maybe want to give me a call, we can definitely get you set up for it for those who want to go.
Okay, great.
Those that go that don't, and they can maybe share the information for it with the ones that don't go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, council? Okay, before we move on, I'd talked to Mr. Bridge this afternoon and to Vice Mayor. I think we're going to scrap the executive session. It was for tonight for a couple reasons. Some of the things that Mr. Bridge wanted to go over really didn't have any new information to discuss on. And I got held up with some issues today that I didn't get some paperwork finished up and printed up and copied for everybody. So we'll have to I think between the two of us, me and Mr. Bridge, we're going to maybe do the executive session at the following meeting. He may have more information, and I should have everything ready to go for what we need to do as well. As long as no one had any problems with that.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cobb, second by Mr. Grimm.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Mayor. Emily, do
Yes, sir.
do they need to do a motion to amend the agenda to take
I was
that
just
off?
going to ask, we've never
I don't know.
canceled an executive session before, so I was just gonna say, should we do that
We-
to?
Yeah,
I don't
we've canceled them before. Maybe it's been years and years, but I mean, we can always do it just to
be
just
safe.
say,
Make sure we're
Yeah.
covered.
that's fine. So before we entertain the motion on the floor, then we'll do a motion to,
Move
So
to remove the executive session from the agenda.
Well,
Well,
we already have a motion, an active motion.
Motion,
And-
motion recall.
Okay.
Second recall.
and
Thank
then
you.
we'll need a motion, I think, actually first to break rules to adjust the agenda.
Motion break rules to adjust an amendment.
Second,
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes,
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilman Noakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilman Eggleston.
yes.
That motion passes 7-0. So now we can cancel the executive session. Do I have a motion to do that?
So move.
Second.
Mr. Vice Mayor, Mr. Grimm.
Okay.
Any discussion? And the vote.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilman Noakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes,
Councilman Grimm.
Yes.
All right, the motion to cancel the executive session is accepted 7-0.
Move to
Now,
adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
there are some anxious people. I think I heard Dale first with the.
I did hear Dale, yes.
So,
Second,
second by Ms. Eggleston.
All right. Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes,
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilman Noakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston.
yes.
Motion to adjourn accepted 7-0.
Good night, y'all.
have a pleasant evening.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Great meeting. Thank you.